All right. Well, today, let's get down to business today. Oh my God. What do we have today? This young lady, her favorite food is a taco. I took good notes from last week. And I love what she said last week. She says 5 feet equals fun size. Oh yeah, fun size. I like that. I like that. Her and Miss Carrie, Miss Roder. So I love what she said last week. Last week her topic was what? Be bold. Be bold. You guys write that down. Y'all been taking good notes. I'm proud of you guys. Be bold. Well, let me describe this young lady. She owns a business. She's a locksmith for 8 years. She wanted more and more time. She was on her way to RD and the RVP, but she got to make a pit stop by RD to get to RVP. She's on her way. She lives in San Antonio, Texas. She's been mentored by the great Dean Corralejo, which we all respect and love. And also Regional Vice President, Ms. Jocelyn Driscoll has a lot to do with her. I mentor her as well. We just want to say thank you for being on our call because she does such a fantastic job. And her favorite song, does anybody know what her favorite song is by Salt and Pepper? Yeah, Shoot. No, it's Shoot. Is her favorite. So see, I keep notes. I got good notes right in front of me. So without further ado, from San Antonio, Texas, 5 foot, full of fun size, the one and only Miss Roxann Corralejo.
Oh my goodness, thank you, Mr. Thomas. That was an amazing. I love the fact that you take so many great notes, and the way that you introduce everybody just makes me feel like I've known these people for so long. So thank you for that and that introduction, because now we all know each other. If you guys haven't seen me before, if you missed last week, you know exactly who I am. And my favorite song, You Gotta Shoot, Baby. So thank you so much. Thank you for everything. And I just want to say again that this call has meant so much to me. It's helped develop me as a leader and personally. And I know I say that every single time. And even after you guys get sick of hearing it, I am so grateful. I'm going to still keep saying it because I love to show my gratitude for this call and each and every single one of you guys that tune in, that speak, everybody that gives feedback. Man, I can't even tell you, even sometimes before the call. Last week, I had Nicole Woods send me a message and just tell me, like, I feel you, you're going to do so great, like a half hour before the call. And that helps calm my nerves. So you guys have been such a blessing to me. So thank you guys so very much. This week, what I want to start off with is, if hopefully you tuned in last week and you know what we're talking about, but if your cameras are off, if your cameras are on, first thing we're going to do is I want to see your bold face. Let me see that bold face. What do you look like? Yeah, we got some muscles. That's my bold face. I love Sam Foster's. I don't know. That looks a little scary, Sam. But that's okay, because that's your bold face. You're being so bold. You don't care how it comes off to other people. It's that power that it gives you, how it empowers you. That's what I'm talking about being bold. So when I was talking to, actually earlier, just a couple days ago, Mr. Williamson, if you guys don't know him, he is a fantastic leader, regional director. A few of his reps are on this call as well. But I plugged into a book club that he's been doing, and we just started Think and Grow Rich. So we just started this book club, and one thing that I noticed is, as we're going through it, is that people have we're reading the exact same letters, the exact same words on the exact same pages, and everybody has a different interpretation. Everybody takes something home, and I really think that is really because of the chapters that they are going through in life. Every time I attend church, I always absorb something, but it's pertaining to what chapter I am going through in my life. And one thing I've noticed about these calls is that it's the same thing. The nuggets that I pull, and I love that it's on YouTube and that I can go back and re-listen, because the nuggets that I pull when I'm sitting there listening in can be something completely different a week from now, 2 weeks from now, just because of what I'm going through. Something else stands out. So one thing he did mention on this call when we had book club with a phenomenal group of some of his up and coming female leaders were on this call, which was so great. But he did mention that what he pulled away from my talk last week. And I want you guys to have that opportunity too, since I know everybody's absorbing something different, is just put in the comments right now. I want to see what everybody pulled away and what they're thinking of being bold is. Their boldness, what it is for you to be bold, what you pulled out. So if you can please fill the comments. One thing that he mentioned for me is when we were on this call, he said that I was talking about how to be bold. And it wasn't about those bold moves that you're doing. It's about having that boldness in yourself. And so for him, that's what stuck out most, is having that undying faith, that unweavable, that undetermined faith in yourself, that you know you're going to accomplish what you set forth to accomplish. You know you're going to get there. Man, he's one of the people that I think of a lot too in his football career. If you guys haven't heard his story, everyone always was telling him that he was too small. He couldn't be a professional football player. It wasn't ever going to happen. And he pushed the max and he got there. He was able to be there. So I know that's something that he feels strongly about himself. So we have express your real self. Yes, I love it. Thank you so much, Daryl. That's what speaks to you. Challenge myself. Absolutely, Mr. Foster. Think bigger. Let's go. I see some unapologetically. Oh, it's going too fast. Fearlessly confident. Yes. Don't apologize for your confidence level and those things you want to go after. No fear. Focus on my goal and opening major doors, because if I don't do, no one will. Yes, no one can. Exactly. So I love that. I love to feel everybody else's takeaway. So for me, when I started thinking about the topic and I started thinking about what I wanted to speak about being bold, it was strength. And it's strength in everything you guys are talking about today. That's why mine is I'm flexing. I don't care how small I am. I'm going to flex in my bold image of myself, because it's that strength to not only believe in myself, but also to believe that I can do more than I think I can. I gave the example of me at the gym and having my trainer in my ear telling me I am stronger than I think I am. And that is the fact for every single person on this call. You are stronger. You can do more. You can be more. You can just be more than you think you can. And until you believe that, it's not going to happen. You have to believe it mentally. Know that that is capable. That is possible. Doesn't care what anyone else says, that you will be there and you will achieve it. So as promised last week, I did mention that I wanted to tell you a little bit about my stories, about the bold movements that have completely changed the trajectory of my life. And so we talked about what being bold really meant for me, and how I've implemented that. Because of course, what we talked about, it's not really theory is great, but you have to put it into practice. And so you guys might say, that's awesome, Roxann, but until we have proof, we don't know that you actually went through these things. So one of the best things, the biggest, boldest movement I have made in my life, I'm going to give you a little bit of background about me. I'm in my early 20s at this time. I had moved from California to Texas, which in itself is a big move. Everyone told me that's a bold move myself. And I've always been actually pretty bold by other people's standards. I've always been outside of the norm, always done what I wanted to do, always been that risk taker. So moving from California to Texas, people thought I was crazy. Well, they will use that same term interchangeably. Bold equals crazy. I was crazy for making that move. Or let's just say anything, a lot of what I do, travel. I love to travel. And sometimes I will go to places by myself, visit people, and coming from a Hispanic background and now living in South Texas, for a female to do that completely on her own, that is crazy. Most people say that is just ridiculously crazy. Or one of my favorite adventures, I went swimming with the sharks. A lot of people think that that's bold. Or what do they tell me? I'm what? I'm crazy. Some of y'all are like, nope, they were right on that one, Roxann. You were crazy for that one. Maybe just a little bit. But that's okay, because it didn't matter what people thought about me. They could think I'm crazy. I'm still making these moves anyway. So I moved from California to South Texas. Now I'm by myself in a state I've never been to. Actually, it was one of the first flights. The first flight I've ever been on is when I flew to Texas to look at homes before I moved out there. So this was a big move for me. And I moved out there. I had started my career. I worked with the federal government. I actually got a position as a biologist in my chosen field, working with Fish and Wildlife Services. I love that industry. I love science. I'm a little bit of a nerd. If some of y'all can sit down with me, you'll see a little bit of that show. But I'm a nerd, and that's okay, because that is who I am, and I love it. That's my background. So I had this phenomenal job, and everybody that I went to college with, unfortunately, in sciences, they were working in various jobs. No one actually that I knew had a position as a biologist working for the federal government. So that's great. In my early 20s, I was able to buy a home. The housing market crashed, but I was still flourishing. I was with an amazing person, an amazing man that I thought was going to be my forever. We were going to start a family. We were going to do really great things. And life was figured out for me. So I thought, or I felt, or everyone else thought. This is the American dream. This is what we go towards. This is what we're working for all up through high school and college. And this is where I was. And I still felt unhappy. I felt unhappy, but more not with my life, that I was unfulfilled, that I was missing something, because my life was great. I had a whole bunch of friends. It was awesome. But there was just something I was missing. I felt like I was meant for something more. Has anybody here ever felt that they were meant to do or be something or somebody more? And for me at the time, I didn't know what that was. And I know that's really a lot of people feel like that. And right now, I'm getting a little bit older, and people are saying it's, what do they call it? Their midlife crisis. And I'm like, no, it's not your midlife crisis. It's just that you've been working for 30, 40 years for somebody else, and you just are unfulfilled. You don't feel like you're living the life you're supposed to be living. That was me in my mid 20s. I'd hit my midlife crisis way early. So as I'm feeling this and I don't know where to go, I don't know what to do, I make this big hold movement, completely disrupted my life. And I am not giving this as advice to anyone else, but for me, I needed to find me. I needed to find what I was missing. I was drawn to something more. I knew God had bigger and better plans for me, bigger and better than what I knew of, because that was my plan. That was my trajectory. That was my goal. And it just wasn't doing it. It wasn't cutting it for me. So what did I do? I left my home. I left the person I was with. I left South Texas. I packed up by myself as much as I could bring with me, not very much, just a few things here and there. And I moved to San Antonio. I moved to the big city in Texas from where I was in South Texas. San Antonio is a large city, completely by myself. And everybody around me, guess what they were calling me? Crazy. Exactly. I was crazy. What was I doing? Leaving my life, my great life that I had. And I said, I'm supposed to be here. I'm meant to be here. I don't know what it is yet. They're like, well, figure it out first. I'm like, no, I'm not going to figure it out here. That's the point. So I moved to San Antonio, and that completely changed my life. That move, that's what started my entrepreneurial journey. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I applied at a couple places. I did work for a small company, but then I started I started my first company. That is my locksmith company. And then shortly after, I found ACN, and then my life just changed completely, just because of that move where everyone told me I was crazy. Don't do it. Just give it time. You're going through something in life. As much as they were giving me, when I made that move, I didn't tell anybody I was doing this. I knew exactly what they were going to say. And just like how I know I'm going to eat later today, if someone tells me I'm not going to, I know they're wrong. So people that were telling me not to do it, I knew they were wrong. So it was no point in having that conversation. And that's why I think it's funny about ACN when people say, oh, let me talk to my mom about it. Let me talk to my sister about it. And I'm like, it's $200. Who do you need to talk to about something like this? You're crazy. I changed my entire life without talking or consulting with somebody. So that big move, that being bold, that is what I'm talking about, are those bold movements that completely change the trajectory of your life. And sometimes some people might think you're crazy, but that's okay. You know in yourself that it's something that you have to do for yourself, for your family, for other people. See, what I felt like I was missing, I was living a great life, but that was for me. What I was missing is that ability to help others, that calling, that purpose I know I have for myself to help and be more for others. And that's what I was not receiving when I was in South Texas, when I was working for Fish and Wildlife. I work with plants and animals, but I wasn't really working with people and helping people. And starting in business, I really found that. And then especially when I found ACN, I did find that purpose of me, that calling where I can help people, not only in my team, but in people's team, and then just all across, not only the United States, but the globe, all across the world, which is crazy. So the second move that I made was about the end of last year. And before that, I had made a move, which most people thought was a bold move, summer of last year. So I'm going to start there because that kind of starts that story. So summer of last year, a lot of you have known that that we had Mr. Tony Kupas in San Antonio. How did that happen? How did that start? Is because they put on a competition in California for their Cerritos event. We're just starting to meet in person. They had a Cerritos event and they said, hey, you get to hang out with Tony Kupas at his beach house if you hit these goals. And I said, I'm there without a question. I had zero productivity at the time. I had nothing going on, no reps, no customers, and we were already 10 days in the month. And they said you had until the end of the month. So half the month's already gone for me. And I still said it's happening. I'm not going to waste any time. I already know. I don't care if I have 2/3, it's going to happen. So I was able to complete the goal. And oddly enough, I was the only person to complete the goal. And I'm like, are you guys kidding me? You had 30 days. I only had 20. What happened? But I knew I had that faith in myself. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I said, it's happening. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to do it. So I went out there and I did it. We accomplished that. We went out to, and that wasn't the bold move. We went out to hang out at his house. It was a really, really great time. And I love the way Mr. Trolley talks about this story, because for me, it's just me. I was just being myself, nothing new. But from outside people looking in, they're like, oh my goodness, who is this girl? And that's exactly what Mr. Tony Kupas was thinking at the time. But we're all hanging out and I said, okay, Mr. Kupas, I have a quick question for you. And they said, yes, shoot. And I asked, what would it take to get you to do a presentation, come out to San Antonio, Texas? And, I just thought that was a normal question. That's why we all came out. And he looks at Mr. Trolley. Mr. Trolley looks at him. He steps back. He's like, hey, that's all her. I didn't ask her. I didn't tell her. We had no conversation about this. I didn't know she was going to ask you that. And he looks at me and I'm thinking, well, let's just hit RVP first. He is a founder of this huge company. Why would he come for little old me in San Antonio, Texas, for my organization, for everyone that we have out there? And I'm like, all right, probably when I hit RVP. That was the response I was thinking. I'm like, all right, my next goal is regional vice president. That's what I'm going to hit. And he said, put 100 people in the room. That's it. And I said, absolutely done. Just like I knew I was going to make that, absolutely done. I had no one on my list, but I was going to put 100 people in that room. If I had to pay people, it was going to happen because I wanted him out there, not for me, but for my organization, for the team. That goes back to my purpose and wanting to do stuff for everybody else. And I said, done. Like, there's no question about it. It's going to happen. For some people, they thought, wow, that was a bold move. I can't believe you asked them that. Like, I wish I would have asked them that. And I'm like, you still can't ask them. I don't understand why you don't. Just open your mouth and say something, just like this business, for customers, for reps. Open your mouth and say something. That's not the bold move, you guys. It might be for you because it's out of your comfort zone. I am begging you, get out of your comfort zone, because that is going to open so much more for you. So that happens. Now we have this huge event that we got to put on, and I'm figuring out how to get 100 people in a room right after COVID and how this is going to be possible. So we get people there and we're putting on this big event. We have videographers, we have red carpet, and it's an awesome event. He comes back twice. So for me, my activity at that point in business, I am focused on putting this stuff together. I'm not really focused on building. I'm not really focused on my numbers, because that's money in my pocket, which is great and awesome, but I want to put on this amazing event for everybody else. So my account starts dwindling down a bit. And I'm like, it's all right, it's going to come back. It's all right, it's going to come back. And it starts dwindling. The second event that we have in San Antonio, I'm freaking out. And I'm like, I do not know how I'm going to pay for this event. At this point, I forget that I have a whole team that's willing to help me, and we sell tickets and we come up with something with some money, but it just wasn't enough. And we had our second event at a church, and I said, I don't care what happens, the church needs to be paid. So this is leading up to that next bold moment of mine, is that I didn't pay my electricity bill. I didn't pay my water bill. I don't care what happened. That church and that event had to be paid for, because this event had to go on. So that happened. But then I'm already in the negative. I am struggling, and I know I'm missing something. I have all this recognition, all this stuff going on in my organization, in my life. It's great. People are saying these great things, but I'm missing something because it's not hitting my bank account. I am struggling, and I know I'm not meant to be struggling at this point. Something is off. And my next biggest moment is making that investment in myself. I want you to invest in you. I hired a coach. I had been talking about it. I had been thinking about it mentally. I wasn't prepared to make all the moves in the shift he was wanting, and I knew he was going to tell me to make. I already knew where I was struggling. I just was not ready to make those moves yet. But at that point, November of last year, I said, you know what? I throw up my hands. I am in. Whatever you tell me, wherever I got to go, whatever I got to pay, wherever I got to be, let's do it. Let's make that move. My bank account is negative. I have no money at this point, but I invested. And at this point, he's charging $5,000. $5,000 for coaching, which not anymore. His prices went up because he is awesome. And I said, I am doing it. For a lot of people, you see Sam Foster's face. That is a bold freaking move. I don't know what's going to happen. I spend that investment in myself. And that is when I saw that change overnight. It seemed like those moves that I knew I had to make and wasn't willing. His only job was to bring that out of me. His only job was to make sure I showed up for myself. And that's exactly what happened. I invested in myself and I was able to make those moves. And one common thing that you guys see in both of those bold movements is that the investment was in me. It didn't matter what other people had to say. It didn't matter what was going on. It mattered that it was something I knew I had to do, and it got done because I felt that way. So that's the second move. And then I do want to talk about not only myself making big moves, but I want to bring to light someone in my organization that has been pretty bold. And his bold move, who here knows Douglas Soto? Anybody? I knew all the hands are going to go up. More people know Douglas Soto than they know me. Douglas is amazing. But he started Estamos Unidos. So Estamos Unidos is what he's working on, what he has worked on. This movement is when he started, we got him in probably about 6 months after me. So right around my time, actually his 4 years, I think, is coming up here pretty soon. And he noticed that there was a lack of stuff in Spanish on the US side. And US has so many Spanish speakers that it was so odd that all the presentation, everything, the compensation plan, it wasn't in Spanish for people to understand, or the trainings. There weren't trainings in Spanish. And so he started Estamos Unidos to help bring that community together and help Spanish speakers in the US. And then he opened it up to Mexico and Colombia. So Mexicans and Colombians can get US customers and build in the United States. They're understanding the US compensation plan. So why was this a bold move for him? When he started this and he saw this, immediately he was talking to other people, other leaders that have been in this company for years, leaders that have had that recognition, leaders that have had that title, and said, hey, why isn't this happening? I want to make this movement. I want to start something. And they said, absolutely not. It won't work. I tried it. It just doesn't work. He got no after no after no after no after no. And he said, I'm doing it myself then. And I said, all right, you're going to have to present because I can't speak Spanish. So he starts presenting in Spanish, starts learning this stuff. And what was so great is that he starts bringing in other people that also don't have that position, don't have that title, but have that drive to make this movement work. And I want to say and highlight that extremely bold movement of him, because so many people had told him no. And he said, I don't care. It is going to happen. And now he has people plugging in from all over the world. And I think they're like 7, 9. I know I have Estamos Unidos people on here. If you can help me out, different countries that plug into this call. And so many people are on this movement just because it is so beneficial. And absolutely clap, 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 because that is a bold movement, Mr. Soto. And I love the fact that he did that. And I love the fact that he's in my organization. Who here wouldn't want another Mr. Soto in their organization? Absolutely. I'm like, let's go find 5, 10 more. And what I love is that people are in so many different organizations, just like on here, but they come together. That is the best part of this organization and of this movement, is so many people all over the world, different organizations, they come together to help each other out. He needs help in Mexico. He calls someone on a completely different team to help qualify someone, to help portabilities. Same thing, people from other countries call over here. He calls me and say, hey, Roxann, where are you right now? Okay, I got someone in Ohio that could use your help. He's a people person, connector like crazy, just to make sure people succeed in this business. So those bold moves are there for you guys. You just have to find what it is in you, what your desire is, what you want to accomplish. I want you to think bigger, to be more confident in yourself. Those moves are there. You just have to be strong enough to go out there and make them. So I want to finish this call with you guys showing me one last time. I was going to play a song, but we'll listen to that later. One last time of you guys showing me your bold face. Show me that strength. Show me that confidence. Yeah, bring it. I love it. I love the seriousness. Go out there, y'all. Be bold and let's crush it together.